We're just moments after the United States lost to Turkey 2-1 in a friendly, and we're going to get right into our instant reaction to the match. And how could we not start it off with that spectacular goal from Jack McGlynn? Just exactly what we expect from him. And if you've watched any of the lead up to this and what I've spoken about for this squad, Jack McGlynn's left foot is as dangerous a weapon as the U.S. men's national team has at any part of any talent in any squad. The kid can score. He can shoot from anywhere, and he simply has magic in his boot, and he showed it. 90 seconds into what is his second start for the U.S. men's national team, his first start in a real situation, not that January camp, and he was not scared, he was not worried. He just went out and did his business, scored a spectacular goal, got us off to a nice 1-0 lead in that first minute. Just all you could have asked for. Other quick thoughts off the rip, Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman bossed the entire pitch tonight. He was just out of this world good. He assisted that opening goal. Just to go and look at some of his statistics. 27 of 29 passing. And these are not all just back passes. This was taking his time on the ball, looking upfield, getting it forward, switching it out wide, playing little knee passes into the box when necessary. He did have 2 chances created. That doesn't even include, those are just key passes. Those are just passes that lead to a shot. But man, there were 3 or 4 other opportunities that came from wonderful play from Malik Tillman. And then I want to highlight his ability to win the ball back high up the pitch. 9 ground duels won, 7 recoveries. Unbelievable work rate from Malik Tillman. At the end of the match, he was just gassed. And this is a friendly. But I think it's important to remember that Malik Tillman has not always been at the top of the pecking order for the U.S. men's national team. And he came out tonight to prove a point to Mauricio Pochettino that the number 10 role is Malik Tillman's. He owns it. It's his for the next year. It's his for the next decade, potentially. This was a prove-it moment for Malik Tillman, and he showed up in every single way. He just continues to be one of the most well-rounded players the U.S. has ever had in terms of every aspect of his physical game, his mental game, his technical game. He just did everything tonight. And I just keep wanting to reiterate, and I said it so much on the live stream. For those of you who were there, thanks for watching. Thanks for contributing. If you weren't there, make sure to check out the one on June 10th for the Switzerland match. But the amount of times that Malik Tillman was the trigger man on the press, the ball would be played out, and he would be sprinting back and winning it back from behind the player, then turning that into a mini counterattack. Just unbelievable. Allowed us to succeed in so many ways that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to. It allowed us to relieve pressure, to create when we were struggling to create. Just a great match all in all from Malik Tillman. And don't pay attention to this formation that FOTMob has. This is the formation we played. Now you can see it on your screen as I put it, but just so you can see the stats while I talk about them, have that FOTMob up in front of us. And Chris Richards. Don't look at the rating here. Chris Richards was so good defensively tonight. Really just a leader from the back in every single way. And he's not just a quiet leader anymore. He was making crunching tackles. He was directing people where to be. He was winning aerial duels high up the pitch. He was stopping transitions all on his own, being in the right place, and handcuffing. Again, I'll show you the right formation so you can get a better idea, but just helping Alex Freeman in his debut, the 20-year-old making his first U.S. men's national team appearance, starting, playing the full match, but just helping him all night, helping him to be in the right position, helping him holding that line. And the two of them together were spectacular on this right side. All of the danger, nearly all of the danger came on the other side. And Richards and Freeman really held it down, if you ask me. Just to look at Richards' stats a little bit more, 96 of 106 passing. The most completed passes on the pitch, 96 completed passes. Just the tempo man, the dictator of the pitch, the ruler of the pitch. 6 of 11 accurate on long balls. Really strong there. 3 of 4 aerial duels, as I mentioned. 6 clearances. 10 defensive actions, 4 recoveries. Chris Richards was really everywhere, and this was just a spectacular performance by him. And what he's done since he came back from what was an injury-riddled season in December is just unbelievable. He became one of Crystal Palace's most important players, helped them win their first major trophy, helped them win the FA Cup, made a partnership with Mark Gahey that was hard to break down, and just an overall change of the way that he plays the game. He's still the player he always has been. He keeps the ball in front of him, but he has so much confidence now. He's such a joy to watch. You feel so comfortable watching him at center back. And, in a defense that was surrounded with players who either haven't been a part of the setup recently or never, and to put in a performance like that was just, it was truly showed what kind of leader he's going to be for this team this summer when a lot of the natural leaders, the Pulisic's, are not around. And it's going to rely on Chris Richards to be that man for the U.S. men's national team. And then let's talk about the debutantes, Matt Freese and Alex Freeman. I already spoke about Alex Freeman a little bit, but Alex Freeman was just so strong tonight in keeping defenders in front of him, in winning ground duels, in not letting anything pass him. There was one time tonight when he got caught out on a ball over the top when we were playing an extraordinarily high line up almost at the halfway line, and Freeman was about right here, and he swiveled his head to see where the ball was, and right then the ball was played and went over his head. It did not end up in a goal. But other than that, I mean, Alex Freeman was just spectacular defensively. 3 of 5 tackles won, 6 ground duels won, 3 recoveries, 4 clearances, a block. Really, really good. He was really good also passing the ball, I thought, tonight. 6 of 8 accurate long balls. He was really strong in receiving the ball pretty much pinned to the sideline with a man on him and being able to play calmly out of it. He never looked hurried. He never looked rushed. The only thing I would say about Alex Freeman is I would have liked to see him gallivant forward a little bit more. That's what he's so well known for. That's what's brought him to this level. And I think he was worried about his defensive responsibility, which makes sense on his debut. It does make a lot of sense. But other than, there was one time in about the 88th minute when he passed the ball forward to Quinn Sullivan and he full sprinted, overlap full sprinted. He did not get the ball back and he should have. But that's what we need to see more of from Alex Freeman as he gets more comfortable. But a great performance, a player who, I know if you follow me, you know how excited I am about him. Overall, really well done. And Matt Freese. Matt Freese was very calm, cool, and collected tonight. That's what I liked about him. Listen, that second goal, he probably wasn't in the best position, but he made every other save he needed to. The couple of times when he had to make a decision on whether to come out and claim or punch a ball, I thought he was strong. I thought he had conviction in his actions. It doesn't necessarily always matter if it's the right decision, but if you have conviction in what you're doing as a goalkeeper, I like that about you. And I thought Matt Freese, for him making his first appearance for the U.S. men's national team, was really good. He surprised me with his distribution. I was not expecting him to be so strong as a distributor with the ball at his feet, so calm. Really well done by Matt Freese. I think he's going to push Matt Turner to either be better or take him out of that position. The debutants, you could not have asked for more out of the two of them. Really, really special. And then just to end on, not necessarily a bad note in terms of the instant reaction segment of this show, but a few disappointments. Johnny and Miles Robinson, a few disappointing moments from the two of them. Obviously, Johnny with that lazy outside of the foot pass inside of his own box that ends up going into our net off Arda Guler's shin pad. It's unlucky, but it was lazy and it was unnecessary. You don't make that pass with a man closing down on you at the outside of your boot. When you have that easy pass to Miles Robinson, there's just no need. We're up 1-0. We're not dominating. We're struggling to get out from the back, and you make a mistake like that, and the whole match spins on itself. And 3 minutes later, Miles Robinson, to call it a mistake is tough, but it's just the difference between a good defender and a great defender. And Miles Robinson just completely botched a clearance, hits it off of his knee, then off of his ankle. It goes right to the feet of Arcticoglu. Sorry if my Turkey pronunciation isn't great, who just has an easy tap in. Those two mistakes really kind of are casting a shadow over the night. I don't want to spend too much time on them because I think the U.S., there's a lot of positive things to take from this under Mauricio Pochettino, and I've been very down on Pochettino over the last few months, but I think this is the first match under him where I felt like I understand the plan, I understand how it's going to get executed, and we grew into a match and learned it as we went on. So let's move on to our talking tactics part of the post-match here. This is how we started. And we had some early issues. Yes, we had the early first-minute goal. We talked about it. McGlynn, great goal. Okay, we move on from there. But what happened after that is the thing that continues to happen under Pochettino in his whole career, which is if he's not creating counterattacking goals, where does the creation come from? And we really, really struggled with central access here in the early minutes. And I pinpoint a lot of that on the usage of Diego Luna, the inability of Patrick Agyemang to control the ball with his first touch, and Luca De La Torre being played in this double pivot. And so I'll break it down a little bit for you, but basically how it was going was we kind of moved into a very strange formation in possession. So we kind of dropped Robinson and Richards here. Freeman kind of came in here. Arson got way up on the pitch here. And then you kind of had Cardoso sitting here. And so if we weren't able to get it out to this right side where Jack McGlynn was, if we could not get it here, we had this left-hand side bias that kept striking us into poor positions. We'd get the ball back and forth in here. You have Freeman, who likes to overlap, stuck in this inverted role. You have Cardoso receiving here and just kind of playing a two-man game with Luca De La Torre. The ball comes out to Robinson. You kind of get it up to Arfsen here, and then Arfsen has nowhere to go. You have two men closing here. He plays it into De La Torre, and every single time De La Torre is playing it back into Cardoso, and then we're recycling, and the same thing happened over and over again until eventually we would go long to Adjamang, and he would lose the ball. And this happened over and over again. We struggled to get the ball out to this right-hand side, and for two reasons. Number one, it seemed that Arfsen was the point that Freese was trying to attack. Freese feels more comfortable playing the ball this way, out with his feet. And secondly, Alex Freeman here, this is not a place where he wants to be. As we got more comfortable in the match, we're able to get this right-hand side involved. We got Freeman a little bit wider. We got into a more conventional double pivot. And Luna started to drop in a little bit deeper. This allowed us to change the way that we were moving the ball up the pitch. We got Arfsen a lot higher. We got Freeman out here. He was able to play this ball into McGlynn. Then you had a player come in here. You had Luna tucking in here. You had Tillman finding this half space. It just changed the way that this looks like an overload, but when you have Arfsen way up here, it keeps the defense true to their word on where they have to defend. And so often in that first half, we kind of had this situation where all these players are stuck in the middle of the park over here, and we cannot get out from it. Over and over again, we struggled with this. It's a big issue under Mauricio Pochettino that we're unable to attack the center of the pitch unless we're in a transitional format. That's the thing about Pochettino, and I spoke a lot about this today on the stream, but Pochettino isn't a possession-based coach. He's also not a counterattacking-based coach. All of Pochettino's success came from creating mini transitions. So a mini transition is basically the concept of you get your players into this deeper area, right? You kind of start playing down here, back and forth, Freese to Richards to Freeman to Cardoso, back to Freese, until you find a point where you get the defense so deep on you that you can play this ball from Freese to Robinson, from Robinson to Arfsen, and then Luna drops in here. You get this pass here, and you're gone. You've got Luna carrying the ball, Arfsen overlapping here. You've got Tillman, you got double tens here, McGlynn here. You've got De La Torre pushing up or Freeman pushing up into here, and you've created a position where you have 6 or 7 players with the ball running into space at a defense that is backtracking. That is how Pochettino plays possession-based ball. So his possession base is in dangerous areas, but in comfortable ways. So you're playing it out in this dangerous area, but consistently just playing it side to side, trying to move the defense with quick passes until you find that position where you can get your ball carrier, Diego Luna, into an area where he can receive and run. And when we did that, what we created in the second half over and over again was spectacular opportunity after spectacular opportunity. Arfsen had 2 great opportunities. Tillman had an unbelievable opportunity. Quinn Sullivan, when he came on, really made some stuff happen. But when we get stuck in that first half mode where we're trying to make it happen and it's not happening, and Arfsen continuously has to play this ball back into De La Torre, and then it keeps coming back here, but then we keep going back to Arfsen and we can't get this right-hand side, you're basically playing down a man. These players were unable to get on the ball at any point in the first half. And part of that has to do with Patrick Adjamang and his limitations. Let's just be honest. Patrick Adjamang is a really great physical profile for so many reasons. He's strong, he's fast, he's intelligent in the way that he makes his runs. But what he struggles with is tracking the ball in the air, and as he's tracking, pinning a defender with his first touch. The one time Patrick Adjamang had a really good contribution in this match was when he had already pinned his defender. He had pinned Demiral, and then he received and turned. So he already has a defender at his back, then he can receive and turn the defender. But so many times tonight, that long ball gets played to relieve the pressure, and a good hold-up number 9, what they do is as that ball's in the air, on its way down, they find that defender, and they pin and receive at the same time. And so what that does is it takes a defender out of play, and then you have the time to actually take that touch and find your out ball. Are you going out and switching play? Are you coming back into your number 10 who's waiting behind you? Are you turning the defender? And then once you've made that decision, you've removed that defender, right? You've pinned him. Let's say you spray it out wide. You've pinned him. Now you've got the inside track to make that run. Now that defender's chasing you, and you've taken another defender. You've taken that defender completely out of play. But what Agyemang does is he tries to control the ball. Then after a poor first touch, he's trying to face up a defender. Another defender has come and we've lost the ball. We've lost momentum. That's the limitation of Patrick Agyemang, and that's the limitation of him in this system. Whereas, if you recall when Pochettino was hired, I spoke a lot about how good Pepe and Balogun are for this system. They're different players, but both of them are very strong in that facet of the game where they can track and take a defender out of play and make a good first touch and bring players in. They do it differently. Pepe is a true back to goal, pin a player, I'm going to control with my head or my chest and knock it down. Whereas Balogun is, I want to pin and then take a player and then take a defender face on. But he's able to take that first touch where he's able to, make that move happen more simultaneously. And therefore, a second defender isn't coming and pinning him. Once in a bad match, Balogun will struggle the way Agyemang did, where that first touch isn't good enough and that second defender comes and immediately takes that ball. But Balogun is such a more dangerous player with the ball at his feet that defenders have to respect it a little bit more. Whereas once Agyemang faces you up, you kind of feel like you have him locked down for the most part, especially against Demiral and so Yunchu. These are very smart, seasoned veterans who, really handle Agyemang tonight. Second half, though, we were able to get Luna into this position. We were able to get McGlynn into this position a lot of times. Tyler Adams, when he came on for Cardoso, was able to kind of spring these attacks. Even Luca De La Torre, who I'm not a fan of. I think he had a poor match. He's really too slow on the ball. He doesn't have enough awareness. Twice in this match, he got on the ball and was able to be that ball carrier to create a mini transition. So it's just a matter of making those situations happen and also coaching it into the players. There were way too many times in the first half where De La Torre or Tillman would receive the ball in these half spaces and were so accustomed to playing it back because that's how we had gotten that they didn't realize that they could have turned and run into space. The defenders were kind of in a shell defense here, and they would have a 10 here, and they would receive a ball in between this 10 and these guys, and they could have turned and run and instead came back to Cardoso. So it's a little bit of coaching, it's a little bit of comfortability, but we saw it happen in the second half, so we can feel like it's there. It's something we can make happen, and we're not far off from getting to that point, which is very, very exciting for this side. And that's the positive that I really took away from this match. It's a friendly. We didn't win. But you take away that 5-minute frantic period where we were getting dominated, they scored 2 goals, we look lost. Take that 5 minutes out. You're probably feeling pretty good about what you saw tonight. Keep in mind, if you're thinking about the World Cup, not thinking about the Gold Cup, just thinking about the World Cup, there were some really positive things to take out of this from Pochettino for the first time, really other than that one Jamaica match where, we were just individual skill dominated. There were little moments here that you could see what Pochettino has been trying to build. And also, these players took it upon themselves to act differently. They took it upon themselves to be aggressive, to implement themselves on the match, to attack, to be confident, to try harder, to press higher up the pitch, to win the ball higher up the pitch, to defend better. Like things we haven't seen. We've seen laziness. There are a lot of things that still need to get better about this team. But with the side that was put out there, a group of 11 players that I can promise you have played very few minutes together, I was excited by what I saw, and I think everybody else should be too. And it's time to start to believe again in Pochettino. This Switzerland match is going to tell us a lot. That's going to be a tough match. They've got a lot of good players, and Granit Xhaka is going to boss this midfield. I'll be interested to see if it's not Cardoso-Adams double pivot for that one, just to, hopefully lock down that midfield a little bit more. The last thing I will say in terms of tactics, and it kind of relates to what I was saying about Diego Luna before and about how important it is for him to get the ball here. The main thing for me with Pochettino that he still needs to fix is play players in their position. Don't just play your best players. And what I mean by that is Diego Luna. Anyone who watches this channel knows I love Diego Luna. I think he needs to be on the pitch a lot. And I think he's crucial to the way Pochettino plays. But Diego Luna's not a left winger. Diego Luna needs to be in central areas. So if you're playing Diego Luna, he needs to be playing in central areas. Don't just put him on the pitch because you want to have him on the pitch. He's not a left winger. Get the players in who play the positions you're asking them to play. For example, I think tonight I'm not going to judge the Nathan Harriel decision because I think John Tolkien had just gotten with the squad and probably wasn't up to speed. But Nathan Harriel is not a left back. Play John Tolkien. You brought a left back. Play him at left back when you want to take Max Arfston off. Play the players in the positions they play. Don't play them just because you want them on the pitch. It's been a huge issue for every country struggles with this. We've seen it with England. They've done it with Phil Foden, playing him just because they want to have him on the pitch, but not putting him in a position where he can succeed. We've seen it with the US men's national team over and over again. Just trying to get all the best players on the pitch. No, you need to play players who play that position. And if it means another player has to come off the bench, then they'll come off the bench, and they'll come off the bench with energy. Because our bench needs to bring energy every single night when they come in. And if that's Diego Luna off the bench from Malik Tillman at 60 minutes, so then that's that. But don't just play players out of position because you want them on the pitch. Every time we do that, it costs us, and it costs us tonight. Until the second half when Diego Luna was like, I'm going to be all over the place. There was a point where Diego Luna picked up the ball over here and created an attack, just getting into a different area where he could find success. And that's on the player too. But when he's being asked to play out here, you're not getting what you need out of Diego Luna. This is a player who plays in this position and receives and runs. That's that for Yanks Abroad. 2-1 loss to Turkey. Listen, you're not going to hear me be that positive all the time about losses. It was a friendly. We brought it tonight. There was a lot to like about Pochettino, the way he set it up tonight, the way that they reacted to some difficulties, some mistakes, to a second half. Bright spots off the bench. I thought Quinn Sullivan was really strong off the bench. I'm excited for the Switzerland match. It's going to be a big test for us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button right down there. Live streams for every U.S. men's national team match this summer on Yanks Abroad. On TikTok, we're doing breakdowns of every single player, profiling them that's in the Gold Cup squad. So make sure you're following at Yanks Abroad Pod over on TikTok as well. We'll see you on June 10th for the Switzerland match live stream. And thanks so much for watching Yanks Abroad.